In the last video, we registered our first domain name. Now in this video, we are going to do a connection of our hosting to our domain name, and this is really very simple. So once you have registered your domain name, you need to glue your domain to your hosting account, and I'm going to be assuming that you are using a VPS server in this video. So when you have a VPS server, when your server is provisioned for you by the provider, whichever provider you use, you will be given the IP address to your server, and then that IP address can be used to form a glue to your domain name, so that when anybody requests for your domain name connects to your web hosting account, and then whatever you have on that your site is displayed in the browser to the person who is requesting your site. And we usually do that by what is called a domain name server. That's a DNS. So when you register a VPS server, you are given the IP address. So what you need to do is you need to come to your domain registrar, which is Dyna.dot. This time around, we registered on Dyna.dot, and then just log into that your account. Now in your Dyna.dot account, you are going to see a list of items in the navigation section. Just go to domains, and then you have a drop down, and then just go to name servers. Now since you are operating a VPS server, what you want to do right now is that you want to connect your VPS server to your web hosting account, and all you need to do at this point is that you need to do what we call register a private name server, or just register a name server. Don't add a name server, just register a name server. Now if you are not using a VPS server, you will not get an IP address from your provider. You will be given a set of name servers. It usually comes in pairs. So you would come to add name server. Now I repeat again, if you are not using a VPS, if you are not using a virtual private server, probably you are using a shared hosting, which I do not recommend for the purpose of what we are doing. But if you are using a shared hosting, after registering your domain, you come to name servers and then you add a name server. That is if you are not using a VPS, and then you add your name servers that is given by your hosting provider. But if you are using a VPS server, what you want to do first is that you want to create your own name server. So what you want to do is that you want to come to under register name server, you click on register name server, and then you put in your host name. So you just create something for yourself. For now, I'm just going to use NS1 website design magic.com. Now, and then you input the IP address of your server. Very important. You have to input the IP address of your server. So the IP address that the provider sends to you, at this point, you have to enter that IP address at that point. And then you just put in the IP address under the IP address field. Now, please understand that the domain name you use must be a domain that is registered on Dyna.dot, or else it will not work. You can't register a domain from somewhere else and want to create a name server on Dyna.dot from a domain that you registered from somewhere else. So you do NS1, or you can use any number. You can say NS22, but for simplicity, we just do NS1 website design magic.com, and then under the IP address, we just put the IP address of our server, and then we register a name server. Okay, sorry. You can see if the domain is not registered on Dyna.dot, it won't work. So I just made that error now. I did not register a .com. I registered a .click. So I now register a name server, and you can see the name server has been successfully registered. So if I look through my name servers here, you would see that I should have that name server registered, which is .click. So I'm just going to copy the IP address, and I'm going to register the second name server, because name servers come in pairs. So I'm just going to repeat the process, and this time around I'm going to do ns2 website design magic.click, and I'm going to enter the IP address the second time, and I'm going to do register name server. Okay, there's an error. I think that was misspelled. So if the domain is not registered on Dynadot, you cannot create a name server on Dynadot. You have to have that at the back of your mind. So I'm just going to try that again, and if everything is okay, it should go through. Let me see. Website design. Okay, I still have an error there, and then I register a name server, and you can see the two name servers has now been registered. So I have ns1 website design magic.click, and I have ns2 website design magic.click. So now I have successfully created a name server, a pair of name servers. The next thing I want to do is I want to go to my domains, and I want to update that name server for the domain I just registered. That's the next thing. So I just go to the domain for website design magic.click, and I click on it. So now that I have the name servers registered, all I need to do next is I come to manage domains, and then I look for the domain that I want to update name server on, and then that's this domain here. I just go to this section here that says DNS settings, and I just click here to change my DNS settings. And under my DNS settings, I'm going to change from parking to name servers. And then I'll just come down here to, if you are using a name server that is provided by your host already, you can enter the first name server here and the second name server here. But now I have name servers that are registered on Dynadot. So what I want to do is I select from my name servers, and then I pick that name server I just created, ns1.websitedesignmagic.click, and then I click the second one, ns2.websitedesignmagic.click. And once I click those, I save the name servers, and I wait for the name server to be updated. And once the name server is updated, I am done with my setup at my domain. So the next thing I want to do now is I want to go to my hosting control panel, and I want to host these sites so that everybody all over the world can come to the site and see the site. So it's as simple as that. I have completed my setup at my domain registrar. So in the next video, we'll go to the control panel of the site and we'll host that site. And then before I leave, let me just tell you now, you can use the same name server repeatedly for many domains. So the way I have created a name server now, I registered a name server and the name server is there. That same name server, I can come to domains and I can use the same name server for all of my domains if you want. But if you also like, you can do like me and just customize the name server so that the name server matches the domain. That's totally up to you. So in the next video, I'm going to show you how you can now host your domain on your site, and then the whole world can begin to see your site live. And we'll complete that in just about 5-6 minutes, just like the first two videos. I'll see you in that video. Bye bye.